tune back in here. Sorry about that. Kind of everything was froze up. Seemed like it might make more sense just to start fresh.
What does?
Is here. Thanks for hanging in.
No problem, man.
Where are we at? Is this at your home?
Yeah, we're in the garage. We're in the Lola Gallery, which is our garage / gallery.
Lola. Who's Lola?
Lola is location of local art name, so she kind of named the gallery.
I like the L sound for dog names. That's good.
And she's here with us.
She gonna be one of those that pops in?
Yeah, she's the gallery manager.
Oh, nice. All right, on. Man, I'm glad you
I
can
cook
fit
'em on
this
the
in.
stovetop.
Understand, like, you're a busy guy, so you're like the art director at Mount Pleasant.
But I've
So
only
they
done it a
still,
couple times on top.
are you still able to do like meet with students at all for any of this, like virtually or anything?
So as the art director for the elementary school, middle school, and high school, I have a couple classes where I see students, but for the most part, I'm working, popping in with kids, offering resources with teachers as they need it. So I don't have day-to-day classes, so I haven't done any virtual stuff. I have started a drawing club as a way to learn how to teach virtually, because I think it's a skill that obviously many of us need to kind of tidy up our skill set on. So I've started a drawing club with friends, kids, and then some of the adults have jumped on as well.
Oh, nice. So the work behind you here, this is all from the each day of the year, like making a work of art series. Correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I started in 2000. I started right at the end of December making more sculpture, and then I thought, I'm really good friends with Miranda Herrick, who has twice done Drawing a Day in 2007 and then 17, I think, or 2008 and 2018. I forget that. But anyway, so she's done that twice, and I thought, well, I could probably do a sculpture a day if I was really conscious about keeping it smaller and, you know, a way to be where I could kind of sustain that energy. And so Found Objects really just kind of found that strategy that I've used a lot in my life of making work with found objects seemed to make a lot.
Oh, nice. How do you know Miranda from like Austin P or anything like that? Or?
Yeah, kind of since we were kids. She was, I think I met her in my early 20s, and she was in her late teens as a freshman. I think I was had transferred in maybe as a sophomore. So, yeah, we've known each other for 20 years. Leah.
Yeah. Things were kind of buffering for a moment there. I just wanted to bring up Miranda.
Well, this would have been painful to watch. It's super, like, draggy.
Okay. Oh, give me a second here. I gotta make an adjustment on my battery. But anyway, yeah. Miranda had met Kelly Tippler, and then Kelly Tippler was like, "Oh, you should meet this artist, Jake Wells. He does this kind of reused material." And I mean, that's really like my genesis with Turnip Green is because of Miranda.
Mine too, for sure.
Yeah. She even gave me like my first show at Mirror Gallery. Did you ever show there by any chance?
Yeah.
Right on. All right. Imagine we probably have been around each other more than I realized. Do you want to like get in closer on some
Sure.
of those works, or do you want to talk about some particular ones? Or
Sure, I can get in there. Let me see if I can figure out how to. Oh, I'm going to flip the camera. Can you see that?
yes,
These are not the same series, but these are trophies from Turnip Green.
yeah.
So they're just multiple layers of paint. I send these out to folks whose work I really admire as just a process of, I sent one to Susan Stamberg, the NPR arts correspondent recently, and she sent me a really nice note back. And so these just go out to people whose work I admire. So this is underneath in thinking about reuse, reusing and recycling, not only just in physical like objects, but also this is underneath the kitchen cabinet in our kitchen. And so this is just another little gallery that exists. So this is the one I made today.
Oh man, what is that? I guess you probably say that a lot.
This red, I think, is the plastic casing of some sort of product from Home Depot. And then this is a plastic straw. This was picked up in Home Depot parking lot. Oh, you know what it is, Jake? It's the clasp of like a plastic clasp for like a Husky, some sort of plastic toolbox, and it clicked there, so that broke. And then this is a plastic straw.
Nice.
Bottle caps with toothpicks, and the toothpicks are holding them to the wall. This one belongs to a collector here in Inglewood, Molly O'Loughlin. So yeah, these are all of them that are still still exist. Some of them are made and they're up just for a second or a few seconds while I photograph them, and then they go away, if that makes sense. So they're a little bit more temporary. But there's
Andy Goldsworthy.
Yeah. A funny thing happened is I have a 12-year-old son, and there were at least 90 of them on the wall. And he walked out in the garage one day. We keep our skateboard stuff out here. And he turned around and he looked back at me and he said, "How long has this been here?" Just 3 months, man.
Oh, that's great.
So if there's any particular that anybody wants to see, I can definitely scoot up closer on individual ones.
Yeah, I'm also going to go to the website here, take a better look. Hey, why don't you talk a little bit about where proceeds, 70% of proceeds for this show is going to go towards?
Yeah, so I am part of the Educators Cooperative, which is a group of public school, private school, charter school teachers here in Nashville sharing best practices between ourselves, kind of, ignoring the conversation of the kind of political noise above us about those choices that families make for their kids. And instead, we are focused on, what our friend Sherry's doing at the Lyndon Waldorf School that could be really powerful for me to use at Mount Pleasant Elementary School. And then that's a reciprocal thing as well. Sherry might implement something that I'm doing, in a historically rural Title I school back into a program that is, now 100 years old. The Lyndon Waldorf system is this year. And so we really just work together and offer each other resources, teachers, helping teachers out. And so I wanted to create a fund at Turnip Green for the friends of mine in the co-op to be able to just go there and not worry about how much it might cost to do a project with their kids. They would just be able to go there and pick out stuff and then just put it on the put it on the Educators Cooperative tab, so to speak. Because those schools are all across 3 different sectors, there's different budgets for different schools. And so I've taught in schools that have a really healthy budget for arts, and I've taught at schools that have no budget for art. And so the friends in the cooperative have that same experience. And so hope to position them to be able to buy for any idea that they have for students in their classrooms. And so those are teachers from as far away as Murfreesboro. My friend Natasha's in it at Mount Pleasant High School, all the way into Nashville. There are teachers represented in, many, many schools. There's about 120 of us now. And then we have a fifth cohort that is, applications are open now. So that'll be another 30 teachers. So that will push our numbers to about 150 teachers around the city across all, public, private, charter schools, sharing best practices. So it's a pretty powerful organization. I really am proud to be part of it. And this is just a small way that I can kind of say thank you to all those teachers that kind of give me so much through that experience of, having that incredible resource to be able to text folks. And we've been doing Zoom chats Monday through Friday. We actually just had a kind of a social chat before where we played Punderdome with people in EDCO. So anyway, it's just a really great organization. So anything that you donate tonight towards a piece will go towards that. And so I also wanted to make sure people understood that if there's a piece that you'd like and you are in a really tight spot right now because of finances, because any number of reasons with COVID-19, please feel free to donate whatever you would like. So there's zero judgment on how much you would donate for a work of art. And then there will be folks who can't afford more, that it'll take care of itself. So if there's a piece that you'd love to have, and you don't be embarrassed if you want to put $5 towards it and have it for your home. I would love for you to have it at whatever price that you would feel matches your budget right now.
Yeah, when I'm looking at your work on our website, turnipgreencreativereuse.org/green-gallery, where we can see nice close-ups of all your work here as well. And I see, when you click on the work, a donation that fits your budget. So there's not a named price tag, kind of like how it is at the shop at Turnip Green, how we just, it's a donation model. You pay what you can. Are there some favorite ones here that maybe you want to kind of zoom in on, or maybe they got like a good story about how you found it, or
sure. So
anything like that? One
on the website that I want to point you to, it's really the only one that has something that's related to dollar sign. I mean, it's differently than you could pay $5 for this one, and it would just be an avocado with the toothpick, a used toothpick. Try not to use used toothpicks. Try not to use new toothpicks, using used ones or ones that I found. But if you donate $100 or more, I will send you, once a month, I will send you a new avocado and toothpick sculpture for the rest of 2020, made from avocados that we use at our house and toothpicks that we use at our house. So that one's cool because it's a time-based piece. So you would get one for May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So you get 8 more sculptures from there. This is a piece that, I don't know if JV's on the call, but Abstract Black is his Instagram handle, and he said this should be an album cover. And so that actually, I'm gifting that one to him. So that's actually in his collection, whether he knows it or not. Some of them are fun, Jake, because they are instruments too, so they play. And so I mic them with a little clip Korg mic. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
And so several of them actually play. You can make noise on them.
Oh, nice. What did you call those? We had the show at the Green Gallery where you had like the football halves. Like I felt like that had you had a particular name you were calling those instruments.
Oh yeah, like a diddley bow.
Yes. Yeah.
I actually have one here that's a tennis racket. This is a racketar, and made out of a tennis racket. Again,
great.
not part of the series, but this one's fun. It's a cup flipped inside out. And then I started, piercing these and realizing that would make a cool pattern kind of all the way out. Some of them take a lot more time, and then others happen, like this one happened really quickly. It's headphones with, wrapped rubber bands. This is a gum wrapper, and I just feel like it really looks like Donald Judd's very polished sculpture from the 60s. And I liked it that it was just the inside of the extra gum wrapper. And then these became their own separate. Now, so one of the things that I started this project was that it would hopefully kickstart ideas for me making either larger sculptures or their own series. And so I'll never not use these gum little chiclet holders. I'll never not fill those up again with stuff. Those will, every time I buy them, I will always do that. This is a fun piece. It's literally stuck to the wall with the sticky of the tape. And so it's nothing else except for the wrapping of the tape. So,
Nice. Do you usually add much to them?
Oh, no.
Is it pretty much as is?
Yeah.
Like the thumb pin sticking it to the wall? Or?
Yeah. So for, they don't evolve after they're made, at least this particular series. So they feel really a lot like a 3-dimensional sketchbook for me. Whereas this could become another larger piece that I'm not going to make this into, I'm not going to modify that anymore. I'm not going to move. That's not going to move anywhere different visually for me. It's just kind of done. This piece, I really love this. It's Scorsese and Brancusi, and it's you talking to me about The Kiss, which is Brancusi's Kiss from the famous rock that was real close. I love that the broken tab looked like they were kissing, but they're also screaming, so it feels like that famous scene, you talking to me scene. So,
oh, that's great.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been really great experience because it's just it holds my feet to the fire to for sure try to make something every day. And if I've missed, it's usually because I've collected stuff and then it's put my brain in a different spot where I can't just work really quickly. But I still feel like it pushed me to make sculpture during the day. And so I have to remember that to kind of give myself a little bit of grace that if I miss a day, it's not that big a deal as long as I was working towards kind of making a sculpture. So, I think the biggest thing when you say favorite ones, I've just been really excited that there are artists here in town. Jody Hayes has this piece now. My friend Virginia Overton has this piece now up in New York that I'll send to her. JV, the response has been really, I did this as something I didn't think I would get much feedback from, and it's been, my friend Jeff Crump says, your side gig is always the thing that becomes your main gig. And so it really has been true that people have really responded overwhelmingly to this project. And so I'm excited about continuing to just make, I can see the gallery is going to be really cool when there's at least 365 of these up.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a good show. Me to get you in there for that one. Now I was curious. You said your the name like Wendy is like a union of your wife's name in there too. So just kind of curious, what's your with your wife, what's y'all's artistic background? Did you guys meet at art school or anything like that?
We met when we were little, so we've known each other for almost our whole life. But for sure, from the time I was 8, I was really conscious of her. We went to church together, and her, my name and her name, Mike Wendy, all lowercase and conjoined, is me just referencing kind of the collaborative effect of living with someone and sharing a life with them. And so she definitely gives me feedback about work. she will give me, we have shorthand about certain things. I can tell quickly if I show her a piece, and depending on how long it takes her to respond, I can kind of already understand what she may or may not think about that particular piece. And so, but as far as it being a collaboration where she's putting her hands on work and I'm putting my hands on work, that we don't do that often. We've done a tiny bit of that, but this work and me having her name as part of my name is really just a love note to, my beautiful wife who I've been married to for almost 24 years.
Oh, that's fantastic. You said, like, does she and your son go on on those walks with you when you're collecting this material?
Often my wife will say, like, hey man, like, stand over there, like, because I'll take a length of wire, I'll take a 2-foot length of copper wire with me that came out of, like, a project or something, and that I found, and I'll be picking up stuff and tying it together as I'm walking, and it'll be like hitting her in the face, or so so sometimes that I have to make sure that I'm standing in the right spot, and that's a kind of a project that really informed this project. The shadows are really nice on a lot of them, like that's really good. This project came out of that project of the walks. I was taking walks and making sculpture and then just leaving them. They're hanging up all over Inglewood. If you live in Inglewood, they're still there. And they're meant to be taken or left. Like, there's no judgment on that. If you want them, you can take them. But there's at least 10 that are still around on telephone poles or stop signs or any number of things. So my mom called me recently and said, hey, did you hang something on a telephone pole by my house? And I was like, possibly. I mean, maybe it was someone else, but it's also, it's highly likely that it was me.
That's great. I just see that somebody watching here just purchased their first piece. That's great. So so folks know, like, when they purchase it, they don't need to come to your house necessarily, right? We'll coordinate it so that they'll email Sarah at turnipgreencreativeuse.org,
Right.
And then we'll set up a time for you to come get it from Turnip Green. And that'll be I guess after May 30th, I believe, is the length of this show.
Sure. Somebody in the comments just asked if there is a treasure map, or if there's a map of the pieces for the ones in Inglewood, and it's not. It's much more of a treasure hunt. Like, they're just around. Leah just asked if the pieces are dated. Some of them are through Instagram. Like, you can tell what date they were made on Instagram. One of the things that happened with this project that will definitely be different, kind of starting like from May 1st moving forward, and even most of April, is that, and you can tell on my Instagram that I wasn't even titling them up until like the first 40 weren't even titled. I just had hashtag like sculpture day, and then so when you guys reached out, I had to go back and come up with 40 titles for the work, which is fun. I like coming up with titles. I've been trying to write every day as well for 2020, and I've been trying to write the titles with kind of two parts that also feel like found object, in the sense it's two separate things that you might not think of being connected. So anyway, that's so moving forward, they will probably all get a little bit more kind of museum treatment, in the sense that I'll know what date they were on. I'll go ahead and title them. They'll go ahead and go into, there's my kid. They'll go ahead and go into that process that I've already created for you all, because I had to create a folder that has all 105 pieces that are available. Does that make sense? So the project kind of grew up on me, and I just wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting for it to get taken as seriously as it has been taken. So now I'm taking it more seriously, in the sense of just being my own archivist in relationship to the project.
Nice. So I see somebody said they're going to go hunt for some of the Easter eggs you got around Inglewood. Or there's some. I was just curious if there's some streets. Maybe we should look around.
Yeah, so there's one on Lovewood that I know of. There's one on Littonwood where I live. There's some on Winding Way. There's some on Kenwood, and there's some on Earlene. So yeah, those streets, and then up near Jackson Park, Richmond, and then I also just stripped about 40 feet of copper wire, and so I'll be making some more of those pieces. It's interesting that some of them get left alone, and then some of them get taken, and it really is like I don't have a judgment on them, but there's one on the corner, and so I'm curious about how some people I think feel ownership because like if it's on the telephone pole outside of their house, I think they feel like it's theirs, which is a cool thing. And I'm curious what they would do if they see people taking it, to be like, hey, that's mine. Like you can't take it, but it's just neat that has its own story that I can't really control.
Yeah. I'm curious, I made that Andy Goldsworthy reference earlier. He only uses like natural materials. Do you use natural materials or is it all manufactured material?
No, there are so bones come into my work a lot. As we, if we have chicken and I usually will clean those bones and those can become part of the work. Wood sticks become a part. I'm trying to find one. It's funny, I can't. Oh, here we go. So this branch, and this has a little bit of a musicality as well.
Yeah.
Some of them have to be mic'd to really get that. So, these found wood pieces, and then the avocado pits, of course, are a big part of it. So here's one. And if you see it on Instagram, it wasn't sagging like this, right? This is just, this is from January. And so it's just getting older and older and older. So if somebody loved the piece on Instagram in early January of this, like I could remake that because we will eat more avocados and I can get another paper tube and another rock. But really importantly, they could also make it themselves and create work, found object work. So I hope that people may see this and be like, I know how to do that. Like I can put that stuff together. This was our hotel tag from our anniversary a couple years back with just a plastic thing taped. Here's a bone. This is a chicken bone hooked to that piece. So yeah, I mean, I love Andy Goldsworthy's work a lot, but walking around and seeing so much junk, this is just a way that I deal with it. And then also I create big piles of it that I take to kids to use as well.
That's great. And I love the idea of challenging other folks when they see, kind of found object art to give it a try themselves. And I love how you're saying, like, it doesn't have to be, like, placed in the mantle of fine art. It could just be, like, make it and leave it, But also, like, whenever it's this kind of manufactured material, I also like that, then you remove it from the earth and, like, now it's being repurposed. We don't have to look at it as the ice were on the ground and, get to see it as the fine art.
Yeah, I really like it. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
I was trying to say hi to my friend Bill who came on earlier, and then I realized I can't do two things at once. But anyway, hi Bill. Thanks for being here. Bill was my contemporary art history teacher at University of Memphis, but now teaches up at Pitzer College. And so anyway, he popped on. That's really humbling to have friends and professors jump on the call. Yeah, I love the idea of that taking a walk, I can kind of clean up the streets in my neighborhood as well. Even though some might argue I'm also littering again by putting them back on telephone poles, but I feel like I'm littering in such a specific, very tidy way that if they really bothered them, they could easily throw away like 12 pieces of trash all at once.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be like that karma thing, you know, like for the amount you've collected, it's okay to like, you know, post a few up here and there. That's a fun one. This is great. You know, over the course of our conversation, I see that some folks have purchased a few, so this is a big deal.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, on. I think we can probably wrap it up here. Did you have much else that you wanted to add to our conversation here?
No, I really want to make sure people feel comfortable with that really is true. It really was, really came from Turnip Green's donation model. I really do want people to feel comfortable donating whatever amount they want to that. All of that's going to go towards a really good cause. 30% of it's going to go to you all who do creative reuse and position so many people to do really great things, and you do so much to keep things out of landfills here in Nashville, and the work y'all do is so gigantic and heroic. So 30% of whatever they give is going there, and then 70% is going to teachers who you all are going to be supporting anyway. And so just whatever you want to give, feel really good about it, and know that I'll make more of this stuff, and I'd love for it to find a home in your home. So I'm just really honored that y'all invited me to be on the call. Oh, and here's the gallery manager.
Oh, that's great. Good to see you, Lola.
Lola, yeah.
Yeah. And, I like that you point out, it's part of a series, but, it's not meant to stay on your wall. It's meant for us. It's meant,
right.
Come out and, brighten our lives. So I'm glad you gave us the time to, give us the tour of the gallery there. And Lola was, permitting there. I think it went pretty smoothly. So yeah, thank you so much. I hope folks are encouraged to make some purchases. I'd love to see how many pieces is this again?
There are 105 on the website. So I'm at 100, and I think today put me at over 120. So I've made more than one a day, which has been good because sometimes if I have a day off, and then obviously during COVID-19, though this project, I'm not off, I'm working from home, but I do have a little bit more time. I typically make these things in a handful of minutes, even though that has marinated all day long, because I usually picking this stuff up either getting in and out of my car down in Murray County. So, see something and then just that will work on my brain. However, and then I'll get home and remember that it's in my pocket, and then go, okay, and then I'll go to the outside kind of after dinner when I just have just a few minutes, and it's almost a meditative process of then making the thing, and then now, of course, titling the thing. So, I have no idea what I was saying. I think I've lost. I got lost in.
I can picture you even as a child doing something similar. Is this something like that kind of art, goes back to that? Yeah.
So my mom and dad are both super creative, even though they probably wouldn't introduce themselves as artists, but we were always making in my household. And then my grandparents, who were products of the Great Depression, I remember buttons in my great grandmother's kind of sewing kits that really were the first things that kind of I later on saw Joseph Cornell's work, but I grew up in a Joseph Cornell box in the South with, I was really lucky. I had two great-grandparents who were living. I had three great-grandparents who were living until I was almost 18, and then four grandparents living. And I spent a lot of time with those folks. And so, growing up in barns and just around glass jars full of things. So yeah, I was always loved that. And so when I started, I think I very intentionally made a found object sculpture when I was 14. So And then just drawing, I drew constantly as a little kid, so I was always trying to be creative. And then, making skateboard ramps for my G.I. Joe characters was a huge thing. That was an early recycling thing. I was always using cardboard and boxes to make that stuff. So yeah, it's always kind of thinking with my hands, reusing stuff, which to me just came from I just grew up seeing people do that. Seeing people turn, my grandmother, she would be so cool now in the, kind of thinking about sewing and just how the renaissance that has had. My grandmother was always sewing stuff out of other things that had existed as something else. So she was always making us stuff out of bags and other bits and pieces of stuff. And so that quilting sense of looking for visually interesting information that used to be something to turn it into something else is just kind of in my blood.
Yeah, I feel like that's where a lot of us reuse artists get it. I think we get it honestly like that. I know my family was that way. Everything was getting reused, and yeah. All right, on, man. I'm glad we made this time to do this.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, this is great. And I also was a supporter of Miranda's, every drawing a day project, getting the in terms of getting those in the book. So maybe you could do something similar one day.
Yeah, those books are amazing. If you don't know her work, Miranda Herrick, look that Works and Days. Look up that project. There's 2 of them where she made a drawing a day. There was much more time intensive than what I'm doing. She's making drawings that take hours, and her work's just fantastic. And so, yeah, if you don't know that work, I would really, and you're interested in work that has process behind it, that you would, and then really colorful work. It's fantastic stuff. So the second book, the Kickstarter was successfully funded, and then I think now that work is for sale, so you can go to mirandaherrick.com, I think, and check it out. So she's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love scrolling through it because it's like a rainbow the way she goes through the color spectrum.
Yeah,
she's great.
Yeah,
you're great too, man. I love that.
Thanks.
Cool. All right, well, let's wrap things up here. So yeah, I'm again, I don't know if I even introduced myself at the beginning of this thing. I'm Jake Wells. You can check me out on Instagram at Wells Paintings. Mike, it's been great interviewing you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And I want to, yeah, man, and just remind folks again that they can go to turnipgreencreativereuse.org and then go to Green Gallery there, and they can purchase any, set their price for any of these pieces we saw tonight. And also in the Open Studio, all that works on our website. So please check it out and continue to reduce, reuse, and recycle. We'll see you, Mike. See you, everybody.